Yeah. Oh, here it is. We're gonna. Where is it? Where is it?
We did that.
We're almost through. A minute. Just gonna read a little bit from the whole too, like I did last week, just for 2 minutes. Then we're gonna.
Right.
What? Second. Okay, we learned about Moshe Rabbeinu. The Eibishter told Moshe Rabbeinu that only after he takes the Kama from Midian, then he's gonna be nostalgic, which means the shleimus of the avodah of Moshe Rabbeinu is through getting rid of Midian. So the Rebbe Rashab asks, why is it Dafka Shaykh to Moshe Rabbeinu? Why is this the shleimus avodah of Moshe Rabbeinu? That through this he's nostalgic. Now the Rebbe Rashab continues. The war against Midian, the purpose of the war was not just to conquer another piece of land, rather taking the karma from Midian. Yeah, revenge. From what's seen from the Psukim, Bo Yorshu has Eretz Midian. The Yidden did not conquer Eretz Midian. The Mashiach b'nei God of Reuven v'chatzi Shevet HaManashe are Yemered Sichen Veik. And it's actually Ashkocha Prat. It's what we're going to learn now. This, that b'nei God and Reuven and the half of Shevet Manashe, they conquered from the lands of Sichen and Oig. And like Rashi explains, on the pasuk. Midian was part of Eretz Sichen, so when they conquered Sichen, they also ended up conquering Midian also. It's a part of conquering Sichen is also Midian. The completion of the war against Sichon was only after when they did the Milcham of Midian. Then they conquered Sichon. Okay, so the main kavan of this war was to take revenge from Midian. Okay, till here for now. Now over here, the Rebbe, we're going to read Sifyud Beis. We're going to explain the main thing we're going to speak about is Sifyud Gimel, which it's a pella. And I'm going to say about myself, I printed this sikha, I printed the seif, I copy-pasted this sikha, I learned this sikha tons of times in the past couple of years. Many times. Just this past year, I maybe learned it at least 10 times, maybe 15 times or more. Then, it's also after I learned the sikha 50 times, maybe 100 times, this paragraph that we're going to learn now, I didn't understand it completely. And by many shiurim, there's Mashiach shiurim, many Rabbanim gave shiurim on this, and they explained it and they gave a certain explanation. And I never it's a very hard piece. And they gave an explanation, but I did not like the explanation because it doesn't fit. But the Pashta Pshat of the Rambam, like we're going to say soon. And for some reason, people learn it, and you're going to see how it doesn't fit with the Rambam. And by Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to see how a Pshat, how it fits mamish with the Pshat in the Rambam, without draying Pshat in the Rambam. And I told it over to many Rabbanim, and they were mamish, they said it fits. It's very, it works. You don't need a dray Pshat in the Rambam. We're going to see soon in a minute. Okay, so until now, we learned, the Rebbe says that Mashiach's inyan is to bring back Torah and mitzvahs to its completion. That's what he's coming to do, to bring back Malchus Beis David. That's why David is the first Mashiach, not Moshe Rabbeinu, because David was the first person that brought the completion of all the 613 mitzvahs. That's why he says Mashiach Rishon Shel David. And that's why he brings all the psukim from Parshas Bilam to emphasize that Melech HaMashiach is just like David HaMelech, the first Mashiach, in every single stage of his revelation. That's why he brings all the psukim. So now the Rebbe explains the first proof of Shav Hashem Alekecha Shvuzcha tells me all the Yidden are going to go to Eretz Yisrael. This means that we're going to be able to do all the Torah and mitzvahs when you have all the Yidden and Eretz Yisrael with the Beis Hamikdash. Who's going to do it? That's the second proof, where it speaks about Melech HaMashiach, and in detail it says how there's two Mashiachs, the first Mashiach, the last Mashiach, and how he's like the first Mashiach in every stage. Okay. The third proof is from Ari Miklat, that if the Eibishter, it says if the Eibishter is going to make Eretz Yisrael bigger, you need to add 3 more Ari Miklat. So the Rambam says it never happened, and the Eibishter didn't tell us add more Ari Miklats for nothing. The Eibishter doesn't give mitzvahs for nothing. So the Rebbe asked, why is this proof in a separate halacha? Why isn't it together with the first 2 proofs from Vashav Hashem Lekechesh V'Schem Pashas Bilam? So the Rebbe explains over here. The Rebbe brings this, and the Rebbe says v'tzorich iyun v'yesh lachalik v'dayin tzorich iyun. The Rebbe says in the next sikha you can see in the order the Rebbe says, where is it? Tzorich iyun ksas b'ma'amar chazal the ben tzeder u'meir v'ira nidachas lo yehoy v'yasid liyis v'lo diresh v'kabaschar v'oda yesh lachalik v'in kam v'koymei. So the Rebbe mentions it, but the Rebbe says it's a different thing. It's to make Eretz Yisrael bigger. Why is Ben Seder Umayr? The Rebbe doesn't get into it. The Rebbe says, "Income economy." So I don't know if I should get into it now. But Ben Seder Umayr is if the day of his bar mitzvah when he's 13 and he has Beisayis and he steals in this and he steals this amount of money from his father and he eats amount of meat and wine and this and it's going to all these sugar details or whatever. Then he gave him they were mastered him once and twice and this and that. So Rambam says, "B'derech hatel it's not even shaykh." The Eretz Yisrael should come bigger. What's the Krois? Here the word is you have a mitzvah. Droish v'kabel schar here. Whatever the Rebbe says yesh lachal. It's 2 separate things. It's not the same thing. Okay. But here the Rebbe's question is why is it in a separate halacha? So the Rebbe explains the first 2 proofs for Shabbat Shem Kechesh V'Schem Pashas Bilam. You see that Mashiach is gonna. We see from Psukim of Torah, Mashiach is gonna bring the possibility to do all the Torah and mitzvahs. That was once upon a time. Or the Miklat shows us that Mashiach is not only going to bring back the possibility to do all the Torah and mitzvahs, he's going to make us do mitzvahs that we weren't even able to do in the past. This brings out this concept that we're explaining what Mashiach is all about, to bring Torah and mitzvahs to its completion to even a stronger level. That the Torah clearly says that there's mitzvahs that we never did and we're only going to do when Mashiach comes. This is bringing out the whole idea of Mashiach is to bring Torah and mitzvahs to its fulfillment. Not only mitzvahs that we did in the past, you're going to be able to do again, but even things that we never did. So that's why it's in a separate halacha, because it's the same idea, but it's even a much stronger level. Yeah. So inside the Sifyud Beis, inside the seif, it's page at Aleph. Yeah, I'm using the kundas that Rebbe gave. That's why I'm not holding the seif. Okay, Yud Beis. This is also the reason Rambam brings a proof of Mari Mikvah in a separate halacha on its own. From here the Rambam is bringing out a proof that we see in Torah that not only Malach HaMashiach is going to come and bring back, that we're able to do all the Torah and mitzvahs that we did once upon a time. In other words, we see that in the mitzvahs itself, it's going to be added even more. And here the Rebbe is saying it's not only we're going to do again what we did in the past, it's going to add in Torah and mitzvahs. In other words, the Torah itself is saying, the Torah in a clear pasuk. Till now, the Rebbe is like learning it out. You're going to go to Eretz Yisrael. That means that we're able to do all the Torah and mitzvahs. But the Torah doesn't say we're going to do all the Torah and mitzvahs. The Torah says there's going to be the possibility to do all the Torah and mitzvahs. But on the Mikvah, that Torah itself clearly says that when Mashiach is going to come, we're able to do Torah and mitzvahs. The way it's meant to be done. To the boy. Okay.
Isn't the whole issue of our Mikvah that
who's going to be killing then?
Right.
That's a whole other sikha of the Rebbe. That's a whole pilpul of the Rebbe. The Rebbe, it's in the sefer of it also.
If you have shleimus and Torah mitzvahs,
so what do you need?
What kind of averas are people?
Okay, so just in a nutshell, not to be ma'irich, the Rebbe says like this. It says Rabbi Shmuel, it says that you're not meant to read Lo'ir Neir on Shabbos. So he's why? Because Shemayat, he might tilt the candles. He says, "Ani Yat, I'm going to read it. I won't tilt it." And he read and he did tilt it. So he took out his notebook and he wrote, "When the Beis Hamikdash is going to be built, I'm going to bring a Chatas Shmeina." Now, when did he do the Aveda? In Golus. When is he bringing the carbon? When the Beis Hamikdash is going to be built. Not that then he does the Aveda. He did it now. Says the Rebbe, so to Ari Mikkel, it's not that people are going to be killing when Mashiach comes. Someone they killed in the time of Golus, when Mashiach is going to come, they're going to take him to Beis for killing the Shaykik, and then he's going to need to run to Ari Mikkel. That's the Rebbe's explanation. There's a whole bunch of a Farish and whatever, but this is how the Rebbe answers it.
I hope people are
not
not
expecting
expecting
them.
No, that's cool.
That's the Rebbe's explanation.
That's different.
Then the Rebbe goes into like what you're asking. The Rambam says, "There'll be no kina," and it says the whole purpose of a goyel adam is kiyechem levova. He's gonna have, he's gonna have kina to take the kama from the guy. So how can a guy in a time of loy kina is gonna run after the guy? And it's not. The Rebbe says you can't just say it's gzeiras akosuv. That there's a mitzvah. The Torah says make ari miklot. So you're just doing it for nothing. The Torah says, the Torah clearly says by the Mashiach, when it says Yarchav Hashem Lekechas Gvulcha, it says Shema Yechem Levavei. That he's gonna have this. So the Rebbe says, how is it possible? So the Rebbe says, Al Goyel Adam, this that he's running after the guy that killed his relative, he's not doing, it's not that Torah is like speaking to the Yetzer Hara over here, and the Torah is letting the guy do whatever he wants. Oh, he's in this case, he could do whatever, he could be Mamala Taivet that kills him. No, that's not the case. This person is Mechoyev Misa. Poel Mamish, the Torah gave the mitzvah to kill the person, just like Sanhedrin has a mitzvah to kill the guy. The mitzvah is on the Goyel Adam. So this that Yecham Levove is the Torah is giving him a mitzvah as Yecham Levove. So it's part of Torah and mitzvah. The Rebbe says that's why even in then he could run after the guy to the Goyel Adam to catch him, but no one's killing then, and he's going to run after Pel Mamsh. Is going to be near the Mikvah. The Rebbe doesn't give an answer how long he's going to need to stay there. In the Rebbe, because the Kohen Gadol is never going to die. So whatever. It's Rebbe, in the Fabrengen, I heard the recording. In the Muga, it's very different. But like the Rebbe doesn't make it clear over there. It's maybe like this, maybe like that, whatever.
Look, when Mashiach comes, there'll be a city of Levim, right?
Yeah.
Right next to the Harabayas. City of Levim at the Ari Miklat, maybe we'll put it there.
But in Yarchav Hashem Lekechas Gvulcha, what I thought maybe one of the techniques, what could a guy do? Even in Zman Golus, if a guy that's in Ir Miklat and he runs out of the Ir Miklat, so the Goyel Adam, he has to sit in the whole life to want to kill the guy.
Yeah.
Let's say he did his mitzvah, he ran after him, he ran to the Ir Miklat. Okay, so the guy sat there for whatever, I don't know how long, and then
According to one time, it's mitzvah b'yad Goyel Adam.
yeah, that's what the Rebbe says. That's why he's going to run after him.
No, if you left the Miklat.
To run after him again, to chase after him a second time.
I think Rabbi Akiva. If you want to
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to learn Sifri the Gimel. Now, the thing that what was very schwer, I'm going to say first about the seif, the way the people learn it, which doesn't make sense, and the way l'cha'oira is pushed up pshat. The Rambam says you shouldn't think Malach HaMashiach needs to make signs, wonders, change things in the world, make the dead come alive. It's not so. And he brings a proof that Rabbi Akiva did not ask Ben Koziba to make any signs and to prove that he's Mashiach through making miracles. So the Rambam proves from this that Mashiach does not need to make miracles. Then the Rambam continues, the main thing is that the Torah is forever. Torah mitzvahs is forever. So the Rebbe asks, what's the connection from this, that Torah and mitzvahs is forever, to this, that Malach HaMashiach doesn't need to make signs and wonders and miracles? It sounds like if you're going to say Mashiach doesn't need to make a miracle, it means that this is a contradiction to this, that Torah and mitzvahs is forever. It's a stira to this, that Torah azois chukel mishbatel la'olam. By a Novi, the Rambam also says a Novi doesn't need to make any wonders to prove that he's a Novi, to make oisis or maisim. But over there, the Rambam doesn't finish off and say Torah is forever. And if you say a Novi needs to make a wonder, this is a contradiction to the eternity of Torah. But by Mashiach, he does say it. So the Rebbe says, why by Novi doesn't say it? Both of them, he says he doesn't need to prove himself through making wonders. By Mashiach, he says it not by a Novi. By a Novi, he does end off that he has to prove himself that he's a Navi through saying Nevuah. And you see that what he says, it gets fulfilled. So you know that he's a Navi. Here the Rebbe explains, so that was the Rebbe's question in Sif Vav. Here the Rebbe is answering the question. The Rebbe says, because Malach HaMashiach's whole in is to bring the completion of Torah and mitzvahs. This is his whole gather. Therefore, if you're gonna say that Malach HaMashiach has to make Oisis Umayvsim, this contradicts this that our Torah Aziz Chokel Mishmatel the Oilam. This that Torah and mitzvahs is forever. That's what the Rebbe says over here. And now, what's the connection? What's the Rebbe saying? Because Malach HaMashiach is Shleimus HaTorah VaMitzvahs. So if you're going to say Mashiach has to make a shinui, he has to make changes, this is a contradiction to this, that Torah and mitzvahs is forever. Therefore, right after the Rambam says that Malach HaMashiach doesn't need to make any miracles, he says Torah and mitzvahs is forever. So the way many people from 10 years, 15 years, any Mashiach was by many shiurim, this is the way they explained it. There's a seif in Yoni Shal Mashiach. He has like a whole bunch of pages saying this explanation. The big fat seif, yeah. They made tut outs, so they made shiurim on this sikha. So I went to listen to all the shiurim, one by one, and everyone is saying the same thing. What do they say? David gave Torah and mitzvahs by Matan Torah to this world. In Olam Hazda, we should do Torah and mitzvahs. And like the famous story with the Alter Rebbe, that he wanted to do Kiddush Levana, and he made him stop the boat. He made a miracle and the boat stopped. And then he didn't want to do Kiddush Levana, then he wanted the goy to stop. Why? So the way the Frierdiker Rebbe says in the Sikha, that Torah and mitzvahs is given to do in this world, and he didn't want to change the world. The whole point is that in the world, the way the world is, you should be able to do Torah and mitzvahs and not to change the world. So that's why you wanted that mitzvah, the teva of the world, he should stop the boat, and then he did Kiddush Levana. Now the way they explain in all these places is that Mashiach's in is to bring Shleimus HaTorah mitzvahs, to bring Torah and mitzvahs, all the 613 mitzvahs to its fulfillment. Now if you're going to say that the only way Malach HaMashiach could bring the goal is through making miracles, comes out that Torah and mitzvahs is not la'olam. Torah and mitzvahs was for the world. La'olam, the Taiches la'olam means als Welt.
Not forever, but
Not forever, but als Welt. Exactly. Yeah. This is the way they teach it out. And I'm like, I always had a heartache whenever I heard this. And they're explaining it. And in this in Yoni Shal Mashiach, he writes, from here we see, and he brings like a whole bunch of my modim, just Baruch Hashem, Olam V'ad Olam, Alma Diskasia, and Alma Diskalia, and Emes Havaya La'olam. So Pashta Pshat La'olam means forever. And Chassidus teaches us La'olam in Welt. So he brings a whole bunch of examples where we see that in my modim they do such a thing. So he says, we see from here that this whole sikh, the Rebbe is learning pshat. The Rebbe is not learning things over here, al pi chassidus, al derech haremes. Any Muslim or chassidus, the Rebbe puts all in the ha'aris. And the Rebbe adds in, al pi primis and yorim, al derech haremes. The inside is pshat. So he writes, from here we see that the Rebbe can learn a chassidus pshatul in pashta pshat in the Rambam. Now, because
the Indian that mitzvah is given in this world is not only
that Indian.
It's in,
this actual Indian has a mocker, but you're putting it in the words of Ikar Advarim.
It's not pshat.
It's getting nicht da rein in the Welt, and they're teaching it in the Rebbe's words. Ikar Advarim kochen shatoyra azois chokel. If you're going to say Malach HaMashiach needs to make a shinui in the world, this is a still to this that atoyra azois chokel mishmatel la'olam. That's what the Rebbe says. Which means that Torah is chokel mishmatel la'olam. Torah mitzvahs is for the world. And if you're going to say he needs to make a change, so that's a contradiction to this that Torah mitzvahs is for the world. Torah mitzvahs is for the world. They do in the world the way the world is acting regularly. But the problem is it's not pshat in the Rambam. I heard a shir from a very big, big Baal Darshan, and he was teaching the Sechel on Tutahals. So he was smart. I wanted to see how he's going to translate the word la'olam. He's going to say the world or forever. So what did he do? He said the whole sikha, he was reading line by line, and he translated it. When they came to this seif, he said, I'm going to read this whole seif in one shot, and I'm going to say the Baal Peh. And I'm like, what? I wanted to hear the way So he read the whole thing as a mal, and then he said this pshat also. Sichas in English, they translated the Sicha for Tutals, and they did word for word. So over there, they wrote La'olam is eternity. There's a footnote. There's a footnote. And in the footnote, they said this whole word that Matan Toira, Viera Davai Larasi, the Abishter came down to be Mekayim Teremits is involved. Now that's the whole pshat. That's the way they explain to say that Melech HaMashiach needs to make Oisis or Mevisim is a stidder to Nitzchis HaTeira. Why? Because Teira and Mitzvahs has to be the way he writes even more. And this is how many people saying Teira Mitzvahs needs to be forever. And Teira Mitzvahs was given to the world. So if you're going to say Melech HaMashiach needs to make, he can't bring about Shleimus HaTeira Mitzvahs without making a change in the world, without making a nest, means that Teira Mitzvahs is not Nitzchi. Because you can never do Teira Mitzvahs, you need a miracle to happen. Well, that's baloney. Because
even according to this shot, it doesn't follow, because what the Rambam is saying, he's not saying what's the job of Mashiach. He's saying that you don't need to do it to prove that he's Mashiach.
Right.
So it has nothing to do with what his task is.
So that's another thing. That's another thing, right? To machriach, right? The way the whole word from Rabbi Akiva is, what's the Rambam saying? That he didn't ask him to do oisis or mavsim. He didn't demand from him. It says the Rambam is proving this itself. That Rabbi Akiva sat on the side and didn't go to him. What are you speaking about over here? You're saying that part of him being Malach HaMashiach is that he needs to make oisis or mavsim. And the Rambam is showing this. You're not talking about oisis or mavsim out to get somewhere. And the Rebbe Befedish, you can hear the Rebbe saying.
Navi is different because the Navi, it's the Nevuah itself that makes him a Navi.
Right.
That is the defining quality.
And the Rebbe is going to say that by Mashiach also in the next, over here in a second. But the Rebbe Befedish, you can hear by the Fabring, and why it doesn't even make sense. The Rebbe says that Rambam clearly is not shoylil. This the Malach HaMashiach is going to make oisis or mavsim. If you're going to need oisis or mavsim, in order to get somewhere, you need to get from here to Eretz Yisrael. So you need a miracle. Say that. You're not. The Rambam is shoylil to say as him being. Yeah, this is not part of him being Mashiach. What type of hat he's going to wear, what color beard he has. He's all zaytik azachin. It could be the guy's going to say Mashiach has a white beard. Okay, it's also true, but that's not one of the simanim that Rambam says. What's the connection? It's to make oisis or it could be they don't make oisis or mavsim, but this is not making him Mashiach.
The Rebbe's Mahalach HaMashiach, the Rebbe Mahalach B'chaf from Chabad. The Rebbe is nicht dazu from
if you need it, better start right. Like it says by Moshe Rabbeinu, the oisis or mavsim made was Lefia Shah. Whatever they needed, he made. He needed this. They needed to get from one side to the other side. He split the ocean, but he didn't make him Moshe Rabbeinu through splitting the ocean. That's why we believe in him. Okay, now the word is, I'm going to say Balpeh, then I'm going to read it inside, and it's in the Rebbe's Oferta very, very clearly. Melech HaMashiach, and in the Ha'oran, Melech HaMashiach is here to bring all the Torah and mitzvahs to its fulfillment, and we should be able to do all the 613 mitzvahs that we weren't able to do. This is what he is. One of the Rebbe says in the Ha'oran, why is Mashiach one of the foundations of Yiddishkeit? Why is this a yesod of Yiddishkeit? Because Torah and mitzvahs is la'ad u'la'ul me'yilam. Torah and mitzvahs is forever and ever and ever. Now a guy could come and ask, what do you mean Torah and mitzvahs is forever? You can't do it now in Zman HaGolus. What's Malach HaMashiach is here to do? He's going to show, yes, Torah and mitzvahs is forever. You can't do it in Zman HaGolus. That's something technical, temporary thing. But he's going to build a Beis HaMikdash, take everyone to Eretz Yisrael, and he's going to reveal how Torah and mitzvahs is forever and ever. Melech HaMashiach's whole inyan is to reveal Nitzchiyas HaTorah, how Torah is forever.
It's a new word. It's not just Shleimus of Torah. It's
Nitzchiyas. This is what the Rebbe says in the The Nitzchiyas of Torah. This is what Melech HaMashiach is coming to reveal. This is why it's a yesod of Yiddishkeit. How Torah and mitzvahs is forever in this physical, to do all the 613 mitzvahs. In other words, now what's Torah and mitzvahs? Nitzchi means it has no change. Like the Rambam says, in Meisifim Aleim, you can add on to the Torah, you can take away from the Torah. It's the same thing forever. Melech HaMashiach's goal is, like the Rambam emphasizes, he's not coming to do anything new over here, like the Rambam emphasizes. He's coming Dvar Malchus Hilchos. He's coming to bring back something that was in the olden times. That's the way the Rambam emphasizes it. It's not, and the Rambam says, he's not coming to do anything new. Mashiach is here to bring the old-fashioned back. So, in very simple words, what's Malach HaMashiach? the revelation of Nitzchius. He's going to reveal how Torah is forever. That's what he's here to do. How Torah is lo'ilam v'at. What's the idea of a miracle? Moshe Rabbeinu took a stick and he changed it into a snake. He made a change. He made a shinui, a change. You take blood, you take water, and you turn it into blood. You're making a change. You're taking an ocean that's water. You're changing it into dry land. What does a miracle mean? In other words,
It's not the world.
to change. Not that it's not the world. Nicht das ist the word. The Rebbe emphasizes the word shinui. What does a ma'uso ma'vis mean? To make a change. What's Malach HaMashiach? Nitzchias. La'olam. Forever. So you're coming to Malach HaMashiach. What's Malach HaMashiach? His whole, this is Mr. Nitzchias HaTorah, no change. And even in Zman HaGolus, that you can't do alternatives. What's his whole? America is nicht anders. What's Malach HaMashiach? Yaakov called Yisrael Leilach Malach Hazik Mitzvah. Torah mitzvahs doesn't change. To force every year to do Torah and mitzvahs as much as possible. So you're coming to Malach HaMashiach, which is whole Mohus is Nitzchias HaTorah. Torah is forever. And you're saying, how am I going to prove this? Through making changes. This is the biggest stiddah to what he's here for, what he's the whole Mohus, what he's symbolizing.
It's part of the default setting of the world. It's not.
Nicht the Welt, nicht the Wort. The Wort is.
I'm not saying the Oilam Wort. I'm saying is Mitzchius means that
Here,
it's
the
outside
Rebbe,
the Welt.
we're going to read him the Rebbe's
It's not
Welt.
outside the Welt. It's not Mitzchius.
Welt doesn't come in here. Here, the Rebbe, if you look inside, just like if you look inside the Rebbe's Welt, the Rebbe points out two words. The Rebbe says there's Shinui and there's La'olam. The Rebbe says Shinuyim is a stiddah to La'olam. Changes is a stiddah to Nitzchias. So the Rambam says Melech HaMashiach, which is whole Mohus. Here the Rambam is saying a whole Halacha Aleph, saying how Melech HaMashiach is bringing Nitzchias, Shleimus HaTorah v'Mitzvahs, bringing back. And he brings all the proofs and Ori Mikla. His whole in is Nitzchi is Torah and mitzvahs, and not only Torah and mitzvahs, which Torah and mitzvahs on its own is symbolizing something that doesn't change. But Malach HaMashiach is not even if a guy's going to come to a sefer Torah and say, I want to prove how is this a sefer Torah through making changes. That's just the opposite of a sefer Torah. If Torah is Nitzchis, then it doesn't have change. But not only that, Malach HaMashiach is not here to. It's not only symbolizing Torah mitzvahs. He is symbolizing, like the Rebbe says in the heart, on these words, on the word La'olam, that the whole heart is, that the whole idea of Melech HaMashiach is to bring about, to reveal the Nitzchis HaTorah, how Torah never changes, that we could do all the Torah and mitzvahs.
The nace that he's expected to do, or not expected to do, is not a shinu in Torah, it's a shinu in
the Feld,
Teva.
in the Chanami.
In Teva,
That's
but
why I
the
was
Torah
saying-
is still nitzchi, it's not.
That's what I'm saying. What's the pshat Nitzchi? Now that it's Nitzchi, Nitzchi because it's MS. MS is true everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere, not to know whether we have to come and change the world, it has to be inside the default setting of the world. Meaning, if the Torah is not Nitzchi inside the default setting of the world, then it's not real Nitzchi, not real MS. If you have to come with MS and put it into the world,
Here the Rambam
the
is saying to
world.
prove to me that he's Mashiach. Or someone's going to say, how are you going to prove to me that this guy's Malach HaMashiach, which is holy in his Nitzchis, through making changes? This is the opposite of what he is, even though he's
Even though
making.
it's in something else. It's the Indian.
But you want to prove to me something. So through making a change, now I know that he's Malach HaMashiach. What's the
Right,
connection?
right, right,
Not only has
right,
nothing
right.
to do with what I'm trying to
It's not
figure
what he's
out,
trying to show.
it's just the opposite. The Rebbe says not only this is not the same meaning, just the opposite. Verstehst? And you can see that the Rebbe is
okay.
Verter.
Well, okay, so if I could say, tell me if I'm saying it right. So if the Torah is nitzchi, it means the Torah has to be able to apply in all cases, in all situations, right? The Torah is always possible to the time, right? So if in order for Mashiach to come and to achieve this nitzchios, he's going to have to make a shinu in the world. Comes out that the way the world is now.
That's
not,
the way they say it.
No.
Nicht, this is Pshat.
No. I didn't say the
Okay,
world. I
okay,
didn't say the
okay,
word
no.
oilam. I said
Yeah,
the Torah.
to say
It
your
has to
word,
be
you have to use
shaykh.
the Oilam word too. To say you,
I'm
yes,
sa-
you have to, because Nitzchi is by
Well, you're not
definition,
talking
it's
about
not
bringing
Nitzchi,
Shleimus
it's
HaTorah
not
v'Mitzvahs
saying
over here.
it's
Here you're
Torah.
talking about even in Zman HaGolus. In Zman HaGolus, when did Rabbi Akiva, was he, if you need what did the Chachamim hold? Is he Moirich V'Doin? He said, he's nicht Moirich V'Doin, he's a nicht Mashiach. You're not talking about bringing the Gula Mitzvah Shlem. You want to prove me if someone's Malach HaMashiach in Zman HaGolus. You're not talking about how do you come to Shleimus HaTorah v'Mitzvahs.
No, but that's
You're
what
talking-
he's saying. That the Indian
and
Mashiach
also
is
all-
to bring
also
the
all-
same. That's what he's saying.
Yes, that's what he is Indian is. But
But
it's
he
not.
was
But he
asking,
can't.
the Torah could be Nitzchi, But we're still in the B'derech mess, right?
Yeah, because if you're saying in order to achieve this shleimus in Torah, you have to make shinuim in the world. So that shows that the Torah right now, before you make this shinuim, is not able to achieve this shleimus.
So Akbala in Torah.
So it's Hakbala and
If you
Torah.
need to make a nest to change the
Why?
world,
Here the Rebbe is saying something else.
Why?
That's
Anytime
not.
there was a
what
nascent
is
history,
history?
you're saying that undermines Torah.
Here the Rebbe is saying.
Every-
It wasn't
Any Nisa was
necessary. It
done.
wasn't
No, but
necessary
if the
for
only
Because
way
it was
for Torah-
necessary.
So Louis source. So someone asked him, the way you're saying is, what's if now with Paul Mamish? Could the Gula take place with Erech HaTava? Right now. Could Melech HaMashiach? Well, you need the Kitzur Barananu for Melech HaMashiach to come. Number one. Number two, to build a Beis HaMikdash. The Rebbe always said the Gal. Okay, even if he's going to come, he's going to go down to Harabais, want to build a Beis HaMikdash, have all these Arabs or whatever. This whole. If you're saying it's Mitzad the Welt Allein, so how is it Shach Mitzad the Welt and Mitzad
No, it's not
Allein?
mitzvah. It has to be able to be.
So could you do it? I'm asking you. Can you do it? It doesn't make sense.
So you're saying
Befedish, you need an Isis and Mavsim for the Gula that take place. And it's not a stid to this whole part over here. Because all the Isis and Mavsim that we're saying we need, it's not Ans Mashiach Shaboy. It's a Zaydik Azar. Even if a guy says you must have Isis and Mavsim for the Gula to come, it's not a stid to Nitzchis at Torah, to this whole part that we're saying over here. Here you're saying, here the Rebbe is saying, you're coming to Malach HaMashiach. And he's saying, prove to me you're Malach HaMashiach through making Shinuyim. That is a stid to Malach HaMashiach. Malach HaMashiach is Nitzchis at Torah. This is what he's symbolizing, and making changes is the opposite of what he's symbolizing. This is the Rebbe's vet. I thought we're going to read. I thought we're going to read the whole thing. Well, read at least this paragraph. Shekaven. We can't read the whole thing next time. We're going to read it again. We're going to read just this paragraph. Shekaven shegidrei v'inyan shel Mashiach hu kanal shleimus it gimel. In Sivit Gimel, Shekaven, the second paragraph in Sivit Gimel. Shekaven, Shegidrei v'inyan shel Mashiach hu kanal shleimus v'kim halachos v'mitzvos ha'Torah. Al kenim eila ala dat shal melech HaMashiach. Tzorich lasis eisus u'meisim. Machadish dvarim be'elim kedei lifel shinui ba'olam. The Rebbe emphasizes the word shinui. The way to prove that he's melech HaMashiach is through making a change. Had he's a bestidel lakacha sharatei hazois chukel mishpatel le'olam. This itself, that you're going to say that he needs to make a change, this is a stidder to Nitzchias, no change. And the whole ha'ara on these words, that I'm saying this is the whole meaning of Melech HaMashiach to reveal the Nitzchias HaTorah, to bring Shleimus HaTorah v'amitzvahs. Nothing to do with Oilam, Lashon Welt, or the way you're saying it either. The Etzem Maisa HaNisim is a stidder to what Melech HaMashiach's Mahus. Because Amnes means Shinuim and Melech HaMashiach means Torah u'mitzvahs. Shleimus HaTorah mitzvahs, Nitzchias no change. You want to prove to me?
Yeah, but the Chinuim.
Imagine if I tell you.
But the
Imagine if I tell you.
have nothing to do
With
the
a
Torah.
marshal,
That's a
no, but you're saying, how are you going to prove to me that he's Melech HaMashiach, which is Shleimus HaTorah, is through this nest? That's what the person is saying. Don't tell. If a guy is going to tell you that, how do I know? How do I? No, Nish does. Befedish Nish does. That's not the word.
But
That's not the word.
Shinoi, why is any
I want to know in
it's a
Zman HaGolus. Before the Gula, Becheskes Mashiach. I want to know if this guy's Becheskes Mashiach. Forget about bringing Shleimus HaTorah mitzvahs now. How am I going to prove this guy's Becheskes Mashiach? Because he has the Ruach HaKodesh. That is a stidder to what the Mahutz of Melech HaMashiach. To making, that's what the Rebbe says. It's because it's a shinui. It's a shinui. It's a change. A change.
But it's not a change in Torah.
Who cares?
Exactly, it's not changed.
But it's still. You're trying to prove to me. I'll pay the change. No, but what do you want to prove to me because of this? Okay, so now because you made a shitty, now you know we Shleimus HaTorah mitzvahs my kesher. Not only my kesher, but it's just that's the punkt fakeret fun what he's coming to do. His holy in its Shleimus HaTorah mitzvahs nitzchias. The Rebbe says, if you say he needs to make a shinah, he's a b'stira l'kacha sharatei zis chokam mishmatel la'olam, and the Rebbe emphasizes the word la'olam. There's two words over here bold: shinui and la'olam. A shinui is a stira to la'olam, nitzchias. Melech HaMashiach is.
If the Shinoi is about one thing and the Olam is about a totally different thing, then how is it a stira?
It's so. Listen, I sat with Reb Nachman on this. He told me for sure this whole la'olam varit, and even the way you were saying it is nish pshat over here. And he said what I said is but he said it's pshat. He says this is pshat over here, but you need. He says I need more oasis to explain it. He needs more more abyssal money. It's not.
So the way I'm saying it, I don't see.
but-
I
but-
don't see
but-
that.
But if you think, imagine I tell you, you have a sweet cake. How do I know this is a sweet cake? That if you're gonna taste it, it's gonna taste like hot pepper. That makes sense. What I just said. Become that guy. How do you know this guy's such a nice guy? If he slaps you in the face, makes sense. You want to prove something over here. He's homo, who's his shleimus ateidah, which is nitzchis ateidah, toidah zitzchah kam shnei la'olam. How do you want to prove this to me? Through making changes. Not only this is nicht in yonah, you're trying to prove something through doing something that's nothing to do with his whole Indian, but this is punk
Okay,
farked.
there's nothing to do, but it's not a stitter.
It is a stitter. A change is a stitter to nitzchis.
Yeah, but it's
The
not,
whole-
if the thing which you're changing and the thing which has to be.
Okay, but what are you saying? Wait a second. What would Chachamim say through making the change? Yes, it's the Veisig was through making this change, nicht zitani, through changing the stick to a Nachash. Now I know he's Melech HaMashiach. You're saying there's a connection between what he's doing over here to him being Melech HaMashiach.
There's no connection. There's
Okay,
no
so
connection.
nicht nur,
This is
need
no
to know
connection.
this as I gesagt, but if you look a bissel tiefer, it's punk verkehrt from his whole Indian. It's
But
nicht,
I think the Zaydik Gezach is, to me, speaks louder than the
here the Rebbe says, Nitos is in Yonoi, the Rebbe says, Nitos, no, and then the Rebbe says even more than that. The Rebbe gets through that it's a stitter. The Rebbe says, a shinui, to say that he's muchrach, to make a shinui, this is going to prove to me that he's shleimus ateidah v'amitzvahs is a stitter. It's a stitter to what you want to prove. Even though it's under the zach. I would say al derech haremes.
The Olam thing for sure is not. The
Okay, but-
Olam is not. That I totally.
And
don't
here
see that.
it's for sure in the Rebbe's version over here. The Rebbe bolds two things. I'll tell you, Stam, here in the Sikha, in the Dvar Malchus, the Rebbe in bold is shinui, and the word la'olam is not bolded. So I was speaking over. So when I said it needs to be bold over here, the word la'olam needs to be bold, and that's the word. Okay, I opened up a look at these Sikhs, and I saw the word la'olam is bolded. In this, there was a typo. They didn't make a bold, but the Rebbe was my gear the Sikha. The Rebbe is saying there's two things. There's shinuyim and lo nitzchis. So shinui is it's a-
opposites. Yeah.
it needs more oasis, but this is l'cha'oida the way the Rebbe is learning over here.
You know, you got by this WhatsApp message, you like got everybody interested. I mean, I don't know. I still don't speak for myself, but
What do you think, Rabbi Shachter?
I'm trying to eat it a little bit. I mean, it's echad, you sort of feel that. Why does he have to make why would you want him to make a ace? To know if it's real or if he's real or not. It's not mitzad that makes Mashiach.
Mm-hmm.
It's just for you to know.
But to know what?
You make sure this is not a faker. It's real. It's real. So it's for me. It's not that doesn't make Mashiach. Mashiach is everything else. Mashiach
But
is
here-
he's going to
here the
build
Lashon of the
something.
Rambam
He's
is
going to be
become Tzitz Yisrael,
Israel. All the that's Mashiach. The question is, I want to be sure.
But here, what the Rambam is coming to be shown is this. It could be in a Hanabi what you're saying. That could be a Bazar Gezach, but the Lashon of the Rambam, Al Yala Al Daitcha, Shamelech HaMashiach,
He has to.
He
He doesn't have
Tzaddik
to. It's not Bichlal, not the Indian
But if you're
that is necessary
Right,
for
yeah.
Mashiach.
yeah, the Rebbe Befedish says, and I
The
said
Mashiach might do Nisan, maybe.
the Rebbe Befedish says the Rebbe in the Bilti Mugah, the Rebbe says at Befedish Yom Machane, the Rebbe says
As you said,
says
today,
Kaved says
today,
the Gula take place in this var.
that's not the
it was
Indian of
such a-
Mashiach.
It was a heartache whenever I heard this, and they're saying that it's kfira. What do you mean the Rebbe? And first of all, we're waiting for the Gula for a Gula Nisis Erstens, and the Rebbe always spoke like that. Beragle, Bapamaya Kaddish, the whole time, like this is Gula. This is the way the Gula is going to take place. What are you telling me, Tev, over here? And he's saying if the Gula, and it's a still, it's a shlep, this whole word, hängt sich nicht on zu. The word is, and said Mashiach. And said you're focusing on Mashiach. You're Mashiach by doing this or not. This is the whole word from Rabbi Akiva. And Rambam says because if this, what's the story? Rabbi Akiva didn't ask him to make Isis and makes him. So the Rambam is what's the Hebich? What's the Hebich? What would be the other way? What Chachamim say?
Because that's not together
So
Mashiach.
Chachamim were saying, what's the Rambam coming to be Sholul? They wanted to know, but Kuhu. Shalchu to see if he's moirich v'doin. They say they're saying the other shit is this is mamish. This does mark the Mashiach because he wasn't moirich v'doin. Is a nish Mashiach. The lashon of the Ravid is conclude they killed him or whatever. There was a whole, but this makes or breaks Mashiach. The oishis or makes. This is the Rebbe coming to be show. The etzim zachts as I oishis mesim. Say that it can. The Rebbe clearly says in the we hear the Rebbe says Aliyah Le'et Hashabarach Mashiach tzorich lasis oishis or mesim. Mitzad is mucharech to make oishis
In
or
order to be
mesim
Mashiach,
to
does he
prove.
have to be? Is this part of the stages? It's not.
Yeah. It's a bazundere zach. It could be here. You're saying if it's mucharech to prove him Melech and Mashiach, and the Rebbe is saying. This is a stidder to nitzchis ha'Torah. To this word, I remember by myself.
That it's how that's a steer.
I was thinking, I didn't say, but this is more al derech remez. Here, who's that?
The Torah doesn't say that that's necessary. In other words, what you're saying is, where does it say that you have to have Mashiach to do a nest?
Right. Yes.
Is that anywhere in the
Tanoim of Mashiach?
the Torah, anywhere in Torah that you can see he has to make a nest. So if he doesn't have, if it doesn't say in Torah, then that's not Torah. To say now, there's something new in Torah, like he has to make a nest. Doesn't say anywhere.
Right.
Because I try to say that the nitzchis of Torah is that this is the way Torah was, the way I see it now, and now all of a sudden you're coming to say, no.
The question is, so you're saying this is a stidder, the way you're learning it a little bit different. You're saying, how is it making oishis? So maybe it's a stidder, because you're making a new mitzvah over here. You're making
something
you made no chiyuv. Mashiach has to be hoig about Torah, basically mitzvah sakov kol yisrael even now mikdash say because this is Torah mitzvah. So you're saying there's a chiyuv, a naya chiyuv to make oishis and ma'ivsim. And even there's a nish Mashiach.
Where do you see that?
Right. So saying this.
This is a change in Torah. Aliyah das. In other words, you're thinking that this is something that's necessary in order for you to
prove that he's Mashiach. I heard this word. Rabbi Yossi Paltiel learns like this. He doesn't learn the oil this whole day, whatever, or the Welt, whatever, but he learns more like this style. But I'm here, I'm just saying, from the Rebbe's Hadakosha, is the Rebbe says, okay, because Mashiach is already in this kind of mitzvahs, if you're going to say that he needs to make little shini ba'ilam, as the still like that is for Kamish Vatel oilam.
something more. There's something deeper there. I hear.
This is I
hear the words.
Now I was thinking of Derech HaRemez, or it's not. I don't know how pshat this is, but maybe you could say something like this: push the pshat in the Rambam. Who's the Rambam? The Rebbe says it's clearly in a couple of places. Even over here on the Ha'ara, who's he saying? Ikar advarim kochen. Shater says v'chol ha'moisif ha'geireya. Shegilim but pardon b'teir ve'etz advarim shemitzvah. Shouldn't he say bada yirosh v'apikodes? He's speaking about Yoshke. That's who he's talking about. That he added to Torah, changed Torah, and the Rebbe says that's why in Halacha Daud he says the whole word about Yoshka. Yeah, it's connected. The Rebbe says. Now, how did he want to prove that he's Malach HaMashiach? Yashar Maitzid through doing Oisis and Maitzid. Now, an andere Werte, if you're saying, and this is Lachoide the Hemshech over here, if you're saying to prove that you're something through making Oisus or Maisim, the says as dein ganze Uftu is, the way the Rebbe explains it is, that whatever your Uftu is, so that's the
Torah itself talks about to be a Novi, come and makes Isis and makes Menassan, Eschem, it's Chumash.
Right, so there the Rebbe explains, that's under the word.
Right, that's
There the Rebbe says, okay, whatever, I just want to finish this thing.
there's Isis and Maisim is never, it's almost for there, you can say that Isis and Maisim is not the way we test people.
Yeah. Right.
Finished. It's not, that's Chumash.
Right. And what I'm saying is, here the Rebbe is saying, whatever he's coming to Uftu, that's the way you know who he is. Now the Rebbe says, how do you know who's a Navi? Ha'ois shaloi, sheyemer
Because
dvarim
a
hasidim
Navi- that's what a
yisrael.
Navi means. A Navi means to tell
This
the
is the
future.
sign, right? Whatever. So you want to know this? Whatever is uftu is to be a Navi, so you have to see him being a Navi now and
So
before.
you're saying you want to know what's Mashiach. Mashiach is someone who can be chadish,
Change.
Mele. That's what he has to do.
So he's the whole uftu is shleimus atayv mitzvahs. So how do you
Has
prove
nothing
it?
to-
How you get atayv basically
Right.
mitzvahs? That
It has
is the
nothing to do
siman.
with
Making shinui.
making.
Ois is a mitzvah. Now, so now Joshka, how did you want to prove that he's Mashiach? Through making shinuim.
Right.
Was hat das Ois gedrückt? That he made shinuim in Torah also. He made shinuim in Torah alone. If the way you're proving yourself is through making shinuim, so does Hayes make shinuim in Torah? He's laying ass. He's making shurim in the velt. In the Hanami, here the way the Rebbe is learning is the etzem meiser hamnes to prove someone's Mashiach is a still to what he is. But l'choide, if you can learn a bissel tiffer in the Rambam he's speaking about Yosh over here, is if al yala adaitcha shemalach Mashiach tzarich halas is oisus amoyvsim, and then he says v'ikar advarim kachen shatel is choker mishmatel lo'ilom. Because if you're gonna come and tell me Malach HaMashiach needs to make oisus amoyvsim and make shinuim and with them better Malach HaMashiach, so you're saying in under the Vayter, what's Mashiach? Changes. So let's make changes in Torah Oichet. What the Rambam says in the end. HaTorah is mitzvahs eilu emes hayu ukvar batlu bizman hazeh. If you're saying you change, so it's new. Because the whole Mashiach is Torah and mitzvahs, and he's proving that he's Mashiach for making changes. So it goes together, and it's a still to nitzches Torah. But then whatever it is, I remember I told it. They told me I should be mefarsim this because I saw many people learning this. But oilom many taicher is velt. Torah mitzvahs needs to be in the velt, and this, and I like. It's nicht pshat in the Rambam over here. It's nicht pshat in the Rambam, and it doesn't make sense that the Rebbe should. And you're printing it in Sfarim and giving shur. I mean, yeshiva, these mashpim are going on, and I'm like, this is not.
That word is a word.
Aber das ist nicht Pshat da in Rambam. Das ist nicht das ist Allah Oilam, what the Rebbe says over here. La ikra advarim kachen shatel says chokamish matel la Oilam la Oilam beilam. What's that meant to mean? Velt and this is Pshat from Allah. The Rebbe is learning over in the Rambam. Nicht a mimer. If it's a mimer chassidus, I'm saying if this whole secha would be al derech hadrush, some say this, so you could say noch a Pshat alay. But here the Rebbe is partially learning in the Rambam. Like the Rebbe, the whole sikha is the Rebbe is not here to whatever. Okay. Shkoyach, Kotov, Shiach now. Yeah.